Hello again, and welcome to section 2.2. We're going to talk about slope, as you can see, and rate of change. First thing I want you to understand that we're going to talk about as we go through this lesson is that slope, I'm sure you're familiar with, whereas rate of change is probably something you're not that familiar with. But the biggest thing you need to learn from today is that they are the same. Slope and rate of change are the same concept. All right, first of all, slope, here's the official definition. And when I look at that, it says the slope of a, now I actually don't like this word non-vertical line because I think if you know and how slope works that you can also do vertical lines in this slope, but the definition is of slope of a non-vertical line is the ratio of vertical change to horizontal change. All right, so if you remember for slope, well, if I do vertical change, that comes first. Vertical is up and down. And which letter goes up and down, which variable? That is y. So slope is the change in y divided by the horizontal change, so left and right, well that's x, so then that's the change of x. I don't know if you remember those little symbols from science class. But we also can describe slope in words. Slope, remember, is the rise over the run. And many of you might remember the equation for slope in terms of, or the formula in terms of x and y. So remember it was y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That is the formula for slope. And then look at the graphical definition. Here's a graph of it. All right, and when you look at this, you can see, hey, look, there's the rise, y2 minus y1. All right, maybe I'll use that red. That's going up and down, all right? That's the y, that's the change in y, that's the rise, all right? And then you can see right here, the y2 minus y1. Then I have run, x2 minus x1. There's the run, that's the change in x, that's the run. And you can see right there, x2 minus x1. All right, so it all fits in there. A couple issues happen with slope is in any ordered pair, it's always x, comma, y. That goes first, right? And it's the x value that is the first in the ordered pair. And the problem is that I use y first in the formula. So always try to remember you have to rise out of bed before you'd be able to run. Right? If you try to lay down in bed and run, you run in a circle. So try to remember it's rise over run. Here's an example. The roof of an entryway to an office building has a rise of 40 feet and a run of 100 feet. What is the slope? Well, remember that slope was m equals, all right, I forgot to mention that. I don't know why we use m. It's probably a Latin root. And it's rise over run, the y value over the x value. So in this case, it has a rise of 40 feet, so there's 40, and has a run of 100 feet. So then we would keep going on this, and with slope, you cannot use decimals. So you have to keep it as a fraction. So 40 over 100, that could be 4 over 10, which would then be 2 over 5. So the slope of this entryway is 2/5. And if you think about dimensional analysis, I had feet over feet. So these reduce, so slope does not actually have a label. When you do slope, the dimensional analysis tells you that the labels will go away. Now, 2/5 would be, 0.4 as a decimal. If you're going to write a decimal, what would be the rise and what would be the run of 0.4? In order to do that, you'd have to first convert it back to a fraction and then figure out the rise and the run. So do not use decimals with slope, only have fractions and make sure the fractions are reduced to lowest terms. All right, now we're going to take a look at the different types of slopes. All right, there are 4 types. And remember, when you look at things, we are in the process, we read from left to right. So that's how we look at slope as well. We look at graphs from left to right. There are these 4 types of slopes. There is a positive slope, negative slope, zero slope, and undefined slope. Now, most often, kids can get these 2 done easily. It is the zero slope and the undefined slope that they make a mistake. Okay, so we'll talk about that. Now with positive slope, I'm literally meaning that the m value is equal to a positive number. And if it's negative slope, the value of m is equal to a negative number. All right, which means as you look at the graph, it rises left to right. That's a rising left to right value. Okay, and a negative slope, notice it is falling left to right. So this slope rises and this slope falls. Moving over to zero slope, when I say zero slope, I mean the value of m is actually equal to the value 0. Okay? When I say undefined slope, I mean that there is no slope. Now, a lot of times people confuse the number 0 to represent no slope, and that is wrong. No slope means none, and 0 means the number 0. I know that's a little odd, but that's what that means. 0 is a number, as in 0 over 1. No slope, that's when you end up with the value of m being equal to something over 0. Like we talked about with inverse functions, where 0 is on the bottom, it is undefined. And notice I have a vertical line here. So this is a vertical line. An undefined slope is vertical, whereas 0 slope is horizontal, you can see here, horizontal. Now some simple ways that you could try to remember this. If you think about rise over run, all right, think about this blue line here under horizontal. What is the rise? How far up does it go? It goes up 0, and then it could go left or right, some value like 1. So that's 0 over 1. Whereas in the vertical situation, notice I am going up, but how far am I going to the right? 0. So there is a 1 over 0. All right? Now, if you think about it, another way to remember this is think about if you were a downhill skier. Okay, so here's my little skier man. I'm going to put him on top of a horizontal line. All right, if you were downhill skiing, think about I'm on a horizontal line. Whereas if I'm here downhill skiing, woo, I'm just going down. That's pretty fun. All right, but if I'm on a horizontal line, I can't go anywhere. So what's going on? Well, this is 0 fun if I'm on this line. Now, if I was on this one, I'd obviously be going backwards, so that's still kind of fun, going backwards down a hill. But if I'm on a vertical line, all right, think about that. I'm falling. Notice there is nothing below me to keep me up. Or think of it, really, if you were skiing along and all of a sudden you came to a vertical line, you'd be going, no slope as you hit the ground. All right, I know that's a little silly, but just something to try to help you remember. All right, now let's take a look at the difference between parallel and perpendicular lines. All right, parallel lines right here. Notice they are parallel, so they will never touch. They will go on forever. And if you think about parallel lines, their slopes, all right, what's going to happen with the slopes of parallel lines? This line and this line. What would you say about the two slopes of those lines? Exactly, they are the same. So parallel lines have the same slope. Now let's take a look at perpendicular lines here. Perpendicular lines, here's line 1, here's line 2. Notice they're definitely not the same slope, all right? But notice one is negative, the other is positive slope. And so perpendicular lines, they have opposite reciprocal slopes. So if the slope of the first line, let's say that this line right here, that slope was negative 2/3, all right? Well, then the other line where it's positive is going to be positive 3/2. Those are opposite reciprocal numbers right there. Hi, for this example, we're going to try something that's a little non-conventional for your traditional slope questions, all right? But it's the exact same concept. So notice in this case, I'm given 1 point, a second point, and the slope itself. So remember that the slope formula is m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, and then what we have here is I would just label things. Here is x1, y1. This is x2, y2, and this is the value of m. So in place of m, I'm going to put 3 over 4. All right, in place of y2, I have a 3, and in place of y1, I have a 6. And that's going to equal over, and then instead of x2, I have k. Instead of x1, I have negative 3. Notice I wrote minus and negative. So what I can do there is add the opposite. So now that's going to be k plus 3. I'm going to rewrite this. Now this is 3/4 equals negative 3 over k plus 3. So now I have a proportion. A proportion is just when you have a fraction equal to a fraction. And what I do there is I cross multiply to solve for that. And then that gets me negative 12 equal to, and don't forget to distribute this 3k plus 9. Most people forget about the 9 right there. All right. And now I just have to solve this value for k to get the answer. And to solve for k, I will simply subtract 9 from both sides. And then that would get me negative 21 equal to 3k. And then that tells me that k is definitely negative 7. So there's my answer, is k is negative 7. So you can see it's not your traditional slope problem. I'm given the slope, but I still just simply use the slope formula to plug the values in. And think about how easy it was to see this when things were labeled. When things are labeled, it makes it so easily visually to work. You don't have to think about it and visualize it. You just have to think about it. And that's one less step. That's working smarter, not harder. Now we're going to get into what's called average rate of change. Like I said, we're going to do slope and rate of change. But remember what I said about rate of change and slope and how they're related. So here's the definition of rate of change. How much one quantity changes on average relative to the change of another quantity. So how much does one quantity y change relative to a change in another quantity x? Okay, so really read that as its slope with a real life application. So using slope only in real life situations is really what rate of change is. So one more time, rate of change is slope. Practicing here, your friend walked 10 kilometers in 3 hours. You walked 8 kilometers in 5 hours. So what we have there is we just have coordinate pairs. Now think about it, kilometers in hours, all right? Remember, time is independent. Independent variable would be your x value, and your dependent variable, kilometers, is your y value. Because you can't control how long 3 hours is. 3 hours is 3 hours. You can control how far you walk in 3 hours. So really that's the coordinate 3, 10. I'm just turning it into a slope problem. And you are now here 18 kilometers in 5 hours. So again, x is 5 because that's independent, and the amount of kilometers walked is dependent on the time. So that's the coordinate 5, 18. So now I just can use slope. Well, remember the slope formula, so it's m equals, well, I'm just going to label this as x1, y1, and here is x2, y2. So m is equal to 18 minus 10. Remember, I start with rise, I start with y. All right, I start with y over 5 minus 3. Well, then that's 8 over 2, which is 4. All right, so the rate of change is 4, and then think about our labels. Y was kilometers, x was hours. So the average rate of change is 4 kilometers per hour. So don't forget, in rate of change, you're going to have to make sure to write the label on your answer. Last example, we're talking about New Hampshire and forest land. And in 1983, it was 87%. But in 2001, it was 81.1%. So you can tell it's dropping. So first it says find the rate of change. I have to first find that. Don't move on to the next question until you first find the first item. So again, I can look at this as a coordinate. 83 1983 is my value, and 87% is the y value. And then I have the other coordinate, which is 2001, comma, 81.1. So to find the rate of change, I just have to find the slope. M will equal to y2, which is 81.1, minus y1, which is 87, over 2001, which is x2, and 1983, which is x1. Well, that's going to get me a negative 5.9 in percentage over a positive 18 to get my value. And what that's going to end up with is then that's negative 0.32777 repeating. Now I know I said you can't use decimals for slope, but in this case I'm just doing a rate of change. I'm not going to try to graph, so I can use a decimal in this situation. So what I'm going to say is then that's negative 0.328% per year is the rate of change of forest land in New Hampshire. Now what I have to do is figure out what is the percent in 2005. All right, remembering that in 2001 it was 81.1%, I would just drop the negative 3.28% for each year. So then I would be at 80.8% in 2002, 80.4% in 2003, 80.1 approximately in 2004, and in 2005 I'd be around 79.8% of the forest land in New Hampshire. And this is the assignment that goes along with the slope lesson. Good luck on that and have a great day.